Nature versus nurture. It's the biggest psychological debate of all time. We see throughout Frankenstein that the monster has a born nature to love his creator with everything that he's got at the very beginning, but because of that lack of nurture that his creator should be giving him, he goes down a road of despair and hatred. And this shows that how you're brought up affects who you then become no matter what. So your situation is always going to prove to you for you to be a certain person. So with nature, or neglect to do so, it shows us who we really will develop into. And that lack of nurture can become very bad very quickly. I mean, Victor himself said, "Oh, no mortal could support the horror of that countenance, and it became a thing such as even Dante could not have conceived." He's talking about how ugly his own creation is. What type of father would do that? It's this lack of nurture that's creating this tension between him and his own creation that just leads his creation to destruction. And in fact, the Childhood of Wellbeing Research Center says that neglect is the most common form of child mistreatment. And in this way, I mean, really, his creature is a child. He's his creation, and even though that he is, like, old, he is new to Frankenstein. And so, early on, neglect can't interfere with the development of a person. And since this is a new person, really, then they need this nurture, even though that it's people put sewn together. So we as people need the support and love of a parent. And you can really view Frankenstein as a parent in this book. But we also see that neglect is in other ways as well. And a way that I saw it was supervision. So the fact that he doesn't care enough, he being Frankenstein, doesn't care enough about his creation to then comfort it when it's hurt. When it gets shot at, he doesn't give a crap. He's been running away from his creature and wants to have nothing to do with it. So, in a quote from the book, the monster says that I had saved a human being from destruction, and as a recompense I am now writhed under the miserable pain of a wound which shattered the flesh, and I vowed vengeance to all mankind. So it shows that because of this lack of nurture and almost hatred that Frankenstein has showed his own creation, he now hates all of mankind. So in this time, the monster was all alone, and we as people are too alone a lot of times, and we need a friend or we need a guide to help us through these circumstances. And obviously, Frankenstein's monster did not have that. And the research institution once again says that poor supervision results in children having to look out for themselves, and that is terrible. That's so unfortunate thing. That's such an unfortunate thing to happen. A child should not have to look after themselves because a parent doesn't care. And that's so unfortunate for that to happen. And I know that some might say that independence comes from this neglect, really, of a parent or what have you. But I would disagree. A parent should walk with their kid in the early stages of life and be present and helpful in their development as a human being. And in our story, the monster states that for some weeks I led a miserable life in the woods, endeavoring to cure the wound which I had received. It shows that he had this wound. He was shot, okay, and he was all by himself. It shows that just because it shows that honestly that he was able to do it on his own, but at the same time he shouldn't have had to do that. He should have had someone there with him, because once again it is his creation. Because we all need that paternal or maternal love that shapes us into the person that we are. So I think that the nature of a child and the nurture of a child is so important in helping them learn right from wrong, and it is honestly in all honesty, our monster is only a confused child of himself and is lost in needing help to turn himself around because of what Frankenstein really did to him. It was that lack of nurture and that lack of care that turned him the way that he is. And I believe that, honestly, anyone can turn from that. Anybody's personality who's been changed because of a lack of nurture and a neglect can be changed into a normal person in society, because we all they need is just that love and support. And so it's interesting to show how society will accept people, especially in this day and age, even when they don't have that nurture.